All right, guys, welcome to Saluda Baptist Church Youth Podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Brandon, along with our co-host.
It's your boy, Britton.
And we are so glad that you chose to join us this week as we recap our week in our youth ministry here at Saluda Baptist Church. So this week, being the week before Easter, we're taking a break from our normal sermon series through the Sermon on the Mount on our Wednesday nights for our youth, because we will be helping with our kids' Easter celebration, hiding the eggs and all that good stuff. So, we don't have a normal Wednesday night, so no lesson to kind of go over. But, we're going to do a special Easter edition of our podcast. So, Britton, before we really jump into the meat of this episode, but before we jump into that...
There's meat?
Yeah, no, not meat, but that would be awesome. So, Britton, what are some of your favorite parts of Easter? What are some things that you kind of look forward to for Easter? Maybe as a kid, what are some things you look forward to versus now, as an adult,
It kind of goes the same. I like the candy. I like getting the chocolate Easter bunnies. I actually saw one of Sadie's Easter baskets, and it still has some of my favorite candy in it, because the parents asked, well, what candy, wink, wink, does Sadie want? And I was like, she wants a chocolate bunny, and she wants one of those Reese's eggs.
Yeah. That's the good part about, having young kids is, all the candy and stuff, it's yours. You get to a point where, now Ender, he can have certain candies. Really, he can have almost everything. But when he was like a year old, he might have a sucker, but
Dad tax, bro.
Yeah, we get everything else. But
you get half the Easter egg. I get one and the other half. Dad tax.
So candy. So what else? What are some other things?
Spending time with family, I'd say. Getting to hang out. Sometimes we had some good food.
Yeah, I'll say now, especially as a dad, last night, Micah and Ender, they made one of those bunny cakes, where they bake the cakes and they make it look like a bunny. And so, her and Ender were doing that, and he was super excited. They made an eggless cake, so
he can eat it.
Yeah, so he was able to eat it. There was no fear of. She could tell you vinegar and baking soda instead of eggs is what she did. I don't know the ratio there, but instead of the eggs, she put vinegar and baking soda. So
witchcraft.
But I thought it tasted fine. I thought it tasted good. But
should try that in that cinnamon bread.
He was just so excited, just stirring the stuff and decorating it, just seeing him get excited for that. That's a cool part of the Easter holiday that we that we make it. Obviously, as Christians, we look at Easter as a time to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. But the holiday side that we kind of commercialize, doing some of those fun things.
Did you ever get in competitions with your parents to see who could dye the coolest looking egg?
Oh yeah. That's. I'm still pretty good at it. I think last year we were dyeing eggs with the whole family on Micah's side, and I pulled out some of my tricks, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" They bring a little special crayon and some of the things. I'm like, I don't need that. I went and got the crayon box. You can use a regular crayon, draw designs on it, and it dyes, and it looks really, really cool when you dye around that stuff. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that.
Just when I was getting old enough to kind of get Mr. Cool, I don't want to do eggs like that. That's whenever they started breaking out. Or I guess my parents actually splurged and got the kit that had the crayons in it. I always liked doing the transition of colors, but we did something instead of actually boiling the egg. You ever pop the hole on both sides and you blow the yolk and all out, and it makes a hollow shell, and then you dye that way you can have it again next year.
Huh? I've never.
But I will tell you,
cool.
If you go to dye it, you have to hold it down.
That makes sense. But so there's a lot of cool traditions that we have for holidays and stuff. So I hope as you guys are listening to this, whatever you do for the holiday, spending time with your family, I hope you guys take advantage of that. And then obviously, from the pastor side of the house, or just being in ministry, for Britton and I, it's also important, thinking about, not, I wouldn't say the reason of the season, we like to throw that out there, but this is a special time where we choose as a church to focus on the resurrection of Jesus, but we should really be celebrating that every day. I mean, the Bible says if Christ isn't resurrected, then our faith is in vain. That's something we need to celebrate every single day. But especially at Easter, it's also something we think about. So since we're not doing a devotion or lesson or anything, for Wednesday. We wanted to do something special, even fun on the podcast. So for our devotional, our scripture of the week, if we're going to bring that segment in, but really that's really all we're going to do. But go ahead, hit it, Britton.
Scripture of the week.
Really, we're going to do something a little different. All right, so Britton, you like salsa, right? This is one of those podcasts where I wish we could video it, but I have the Tostitos chunky salsa here, so Britton, you enjoy salsa, right? So I'm going to give you this salsa.
Okay.
So that's for you.
Yes.
All right, so now I'm going to give you, get a little snacky snack.
Bro, we got the chips.
But actually, here you go.
Whoa.
Take some Peeps, bro. Now, all right. Peeps and salsa, that's a no-go, right?
Well, I mean, I actually, this sounds wrong. I'm not going to dip my Peep in the salsa, but I'll eat some salsa till your mouth gets good and hot, and then you get something sweet to cool down so you can eat more spicy.
But, all jokes aside, I got the chips for you. Munch on those after the podcast. Don't dip your Peep in the salsa. That just doesn't go together. But, I'm going to take a Peep. I got cotton candy.
You got cotton candy. I got the traditional. And I'm glad, when I was a kid, I used to my sister loved Peeps.
This isn't bad.
So I'd trade with her. But I mean, I actually like them now.
That's not bad, but I'm kind of thirsty. But I got orange juice. I don't really know.
I can't drink orange juice.
I don't know if orange juice will go well with it.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
All right. It wasn't bad, but orange juice and a Peep, probably not the best flavor combination there. But Britton, I'm glad you asked. Why did we do that, right? Peeps are good. Salsa, good. Peeps with salsa, not really the right time for that.
Questionable.
Orange juice, I like it. Delicious. Peeps, again, really good. Peeps and orange juice didn't really mix that well. So what's the point of all that? Timing is kind of important, So knowing the timing for things and knowing when the right time is important for many things. Not just eating, right? But do you brush your teeth before you eat supper? No.
I want to taste that food.
No. you eat, then you brush your teeth because it's important on, the timing when you do things. And so when we come to this time of Easter, we're thinking about the resurrection of Christ. The timing of all of those events was also important. Like Jesus chose to die and give his life on the cross at a specific time. I mean, he could have, that could have happened at any time. Like,
it could have happened whenever he was in this town and it's going to throw him off the cliff.
But his time, he even said, hey, it's not my time, and so there was a very specific time for it. And I think it's important, and I want us to talk about that timing just a little bit, But before Jesus died, the Jews were God's special people. They were his chosen people, and, because they had sinned, just like all of us sin, once a year, their most important religious leader, the high priest, would make an important sacrifice on behalf of everyone once a year. And they did this so that everyone could be forgiven. And so for hundreds of years, a high priest made this sacrifice on a special Friday every spring during a holy holiday called the Passover. And we know a lot about the Passover. We think about Exodus, them coming out of slavery in Egypt, how the angel of death passed over those homes that had the blood over the doorpost there. So the day that Jesus died, and we can read in the scripture that they were celebrating the Passover. Jesus was the Last Supper was part of the Passover, right? We know that the timing for that, his death happened at the time of the Passover. So God chose for Jesus to die on this Friday, this same day, this same time that the high priest would offer this perfect, pure lamb as a sacrifice for the people of Israel. And so 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, it's talking about a lot of things, but there's one part I want to kind of highlight. It says, clean out the old leaven so that you may be a new unleavened batch, as indeed you are, for Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Jesus is our Passover lamb. Jesus was the lamb. He was that sacrifice, that lamb for us. And so it wasn't by chance that Jesus died when he did. You know, Jesus' death was all part of God's perfect plan for him to be that perfect final sacrifice on behalf of every human that trusts in him, all of their sin. And so I just thought it was neat and important for us to talk about that timing. And you know, that's something that we can even overlook. You know, and we hear it like, oh yeah, the Passover, but we can overlook that significance, especially going into Easter. You know, his death can sometimes get overshadowed by his resurrection. But we need both, you know, because he served as the perfect lamb for us, the perfect sacrifice for us. And what made it so perfect was that he conquered death, you know. And so I just wanted to really emphasize that, you know, God in his infinite wisdom chose this day, this time, this Passover time to demonstrate how Jesus is truly our Passover lamb. So hopefully, you know, that gives you guys something to think about as you guys are listening, as you're getting ready to go into, you know, your Friday tomorrow. You know, something to think about, you know, 1 Corinthians 5:7, that Christ is our Passover lamb. And also just think about going into Easter, you know, how our Passover lamb conquered death. You know, he didn't just stay dead, he conquered death. So hopefully it gives you something to think about. Think about timing. If you see a peep, you know, if you want to dip it in your salsa and give it a try, go for it. But, you know,
we're going to start a new TikTok challenge.
If you want to have a peep in orange juice, go for it. But, you know, if you see that, just think about God's timing and how his timing was perfect for, you know, Christ's death and for his resurrection. And, yeah, so Britton, anything you want to add for this Easter episode? I know it's super short, but that's kind of the point.
No, I was just like, right. I got excited. I saw chips and sauce, and I was like, bro, let's get I love Mexican food. I was like, look, yes. Well, and then you brought the peeps out, and I was like, dessert? You're like, no, dip it in the sauce. And I was like,
Well, when we jump off here, we can indulge in the chips and salsa. Hope you guys have a good week, and hope you guys enjoy this shorter podcast episode. I know it's way shorter than we normally go, but just know we love you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Have some good time with your family, but hope you just remember, remember what Christ did for us. And yeah, so we love y'all and look forward to talking to you guys again next time.